I'm Bob Harris, president of the Decorative Concrete Institute. You know, several years back, I had a student ask, what's the latest and the greatest? Where is the industry going? And I remember that conversation, letting that student know that polished concrete was the next big wave. And I got to tell you, polished concrete is here to stay. Now, there's certainly a wide variety of different manufacturers that make quality equipment, and these are two examples of some of the machines that we use here. The way polished concrete works is basically it's a series of diamond tooling. In this case, we have a metal bond 40 grit diamond, and you do all of your coarse cutting or your coarse grinding first, and then you step up from the 40, you go to the 80, and there are certain chemicals that you use during the process, like densifiers, for example. But then once you reach a certain grit, what we do is we switch over to a different type of diamond, and this is called a resin bond diamond. And what that means is the diamond is suspended in a resin matrix, whereas on the equipment here, we have a diamond that's suspended in a metal matrix. So this is more for coarse grinding. This is kind of a unique system. On this large machine, this is a four-headed machine, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice that while these spin a certain direction, the main plate spins the opposite direction. So this is kind of a unique machine. Also, this manufacturer has what we call a quick release for their diamonds. So basically, the diamonds pop right off, and so they're easy to change in and out. For smaller projects, you can use the smaller grinder. Now, these pieces of equipment are wonderful not only for polishing concrete, but also for preparing the surface for epoxy coatings, for cement-based toppings. So they're wonderful for preparatory reasons as well. You need to take into account the power requirements for equipment like this. The smaller machine, in this case, requires 220 single-phase power. And what does that mean? If you're doing someone's home, for example, you could go to their breaker box, and most of your dryer and washer outlets is, in fact, 220 single-phase, so you could hot wire into the breaker box. The bigger machine requires three-phase power, typically around 480 three-phase power. That's a lot of power to run this, this big piece of equipment right here. And so if you're out on a job site, typically what we'll do is we'll rent a generator, 45 kW kilowatt generator at a minimum, to run all of the equipment. The way this equipment manufacturer's setup works is you have three key components to this system. You have the grinding unit, you have what we call a pre-separator, and you have the dust extractor, with the ultimate goal being to capture as much of the airborne dust particulate as possible. Now, when it comes time to using this equipment, you have to be very careful. These units are, in fact, very heavy, so you don't want to let it just slam down. It could damage the housing and the discs as well. So I'm going to be very careful, as you can see, to just set it down gently. This piece of equipment has what we call a counterweight. Now, the counterweight is there for a reason. And the reason is it depends on the type of concrete that you're grinding and ultimately polishing. If you're grinding hard concrete versus medium concrete or soft concrete, it's going to determine where you set the counterweight. So in this case, we're going to put it into the upright position, which is what we classify as a neutral weight. Okay? So on this unit back here, you're going to want to adjust the handle back. It'll lock into place. Now, before I put the handle all the way back, I'm going to go ahead and hook up our dust attachment hose to the unit itself. Then from there, we have our power lead. Now, in terms of safety, you really need to be careful. You're dealing with a tremendous amount of power, 480 three-phase power. So let's review that. If you're out on a construction site, a commercial type project, for example, and you have long leads of extension cord, you can't have other trades like forklifts driving over this. That could spell disaster. So be aware of the amount of power that's needed. So now we're going to go ahead and power the unit up. Adjust the handles down. Now, as you learn how to use this equipment, it's very important to understand the correlation of the hardness or the softness of your floor relative to the type of diamond tooling that you're using, and also the speed of the machine. Typically, on this machine, you're going to start out at somewhere between a speed of 4 and 5, and then with each grit, you're going to successively get faster and faster. So I turn the key on. I have a green light. I've got my adjustment speed here, and we're ready to go. as you can see, what we've done is we've taken off the top, say 1/16 of an inch of surface cream, and in this case the 40 grit diamond have nicely exposed the fine aggregates or the sand in the concrete mix. This is a very effective tool, not only for prepping concrete, but also for polishing concrete as well. Remember, to get the most out of your tools, use them properly, and more importantly, use them safely. I'm Bob Harris.